Ever since Beyoncé was a teenage member of the R&B singing group Destiny's Child, Queen Bee, as she's known to her dedicated fans, the Beehive, has been on the rise. Having spent the majority of her career now as a solo entity, Beyoncé has had the confidence to rely on herself creatively, going to win countless awards from Billboard Awards, AMAs, BET Awards, Grammys, and much, much more, making Beyoncé the most awarded and one of the most nominated artists in Grammy history. With a massive net worth of well over $500 million, Beyoncé has a catalog of 7 solo albums that have all gone on to be no less than platinum, even during the streaming era. But there is something else that Beyoncé has earned that is much less favorable: a reputation for allegedly taking ideas and IP from other artists. Being considered to be one of the most influential pop stars alive, you wouldn't think that she was also the one being inspired by others to the extent of borrowing so extensively. So who are these other artists that have accused Beyoncé of stealing from them? Do they have a point? And some even filed lawsuits against her. And what exactly do they allege was taken from them? Erykah Badu. Beyoncé's R&B style has been more in the pop arena, and Erykah Badu's has been more in the neo-soul lane, but that hasn't stopped Beyoncé from getting called out for taking some of her swag. Erykah Badu threw some shots at Beyoncé by accusing Beyoncé of copying Badu's signature tall headwear, which sort of looks like a rectangle witch hat made of mirrors. Erykah Badu took to her IG stories to post comparison pictures between herself and Beyoncé's looks, with the caption, I guess I'm everyone's stylist. My favorite chrome mirror hat. Not long after, during a performance of Break My Soul, the Queen's remix, Beyoncé skipped her usual lyrics of Badu, Lizzo, Kelly Rowe and replaced them with Badu, 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 Badu. Some fans took it as a response to Badu's Instagram post. Whether it was supposed to be a salute or a diss is not quite clear, and some also felt like it was Beyoncé canceling Lizzo, who had recently been sued for supposedly providing a hostile work environment for her dancers. The singer Khalees' 2003 single Milkshake became not just part of everyday slang, but also a reason to call out its producers, the Neptunes, as well as Beyoncé for allegedly not getting Khalees permission to sample Milkshake on Beyoncé's song Energy from her album Renaissance. Via Khalees' Bounty and Full business account on Instagram, she stated in a series of posts, "My mind is blown too because the level of disrespect and utter ignorance of all 3 parties involved is astounding. I hear about this the same way everyone else did. Nothing is ever as it seems. Some of the people in this business have no soul or integrity, and they have everyone fooled. I'm an artist. So I am, as Erykah Badu said, I'm sensitive about my stuff. The reality is that my real beef is not only with Beyoncé, because at the end of the day she sampled a record. She's copied me before, so have many other artists. It's fine, I don't care about that. Really not about Beyoncé. It's about hypocrisy and a lot of nonsense in the industry itself. I just heard the record everyone is saying has my sample, but it's beyond this song at this point. This was a trigger for me. Milkshake alone is one of the most licensed records of our generation. I am a creator, I'm an innovator. I have done more than left my mark on an era of music and style that will go down in history. But there are bullies and secrets and gangsters in this industry that smile and get away with it until someone says enough is enough. So I'm saying it today, I'm coming for what's mine, and I want reparations. Peace." When Beyoncé edited the track to omit Khalees' work from it, this adjustment sent members of Beyoncé's Beehive fan club into an uproar, as if Khalees didn't have the right to defend herself, but also because they felt that Khalees didn't even own the masters to the record. When one fan angrily asked Khalees if she was happy now that the change was made, Khalees pointed out the strange backlash by saying, "Yes, I am actually. LOL, nobody cried. I ain't never seen folks go so hard for someone that they never met or know personally. It's got cult written all over for it." Lurel Karini. Even artists from other countries have allegedly had their work taken by Beyoncé. When Beyoncé performed her single Run the World, Girls at the 2011 Billboard Music Awards, she was getting rave reviews from her famous peers like Missy Elliott, who described Beyoncé as a true entertainer. The singer Omarion states that he was left speechless, and pop star Pink tweeted, "Beyoncé just killed it at the Billboard Awards. So original, so rad." But it didn't take long for what goes around to come around when videos started spreading on the internet showing Beyoncé's performance side by side with a 2010 performance by Italian pop singer-dancer Lurel Karini. The similarities included both singers using a white screen with a choreographed routine and visual effects such as digitally generated backup dancers, shapes, and colors, even though there were fans that came to Beyoncé's defense stating that maybe she was paying homage to Lurel Karini, and most likely got Lurel's permission first. The answer to that theory is no, Beyoncé didn't have permission to duplicate the routine. Beyoncé responded to the criticism by saying, "My makeup artist showed me the performance of Lurel Karini a year ago, and it inspired me so much. I then met with the talented people who worked on it. The technology and concept were so genius. Thank God for YouTube, where I would have never been exposed to something so inspiring. I never worked so hard on anything in my life as that performance for the Billboard Awards." Unfortunately, there's no way of knowing if Beyoncé would have ever publicly admitted to reusing Lurel Karini's concept if she hadn't first been caught. Terrence T Rob Robinson. Beyoncé's reputation for, quote, song stealing even extends to her Destiny's Child days. Miami-based producer Terrence T Rob Robinson filed a $200 million lawsuit against the girl group Destiny's Child for allegedly stealing his song Glorious, which he produced back in June of 2000. T Rob claims that after producing Glorious, he provided it to Matthew Knowles, Beyoncé's father and manager, later that year in October in an effort to kickstart his career. But what ended up happening instead was Matthew Knowles disappeared with the song, and months later, Destiny's Child had apparently transformed T Rob's song Glorious into the Destiny's Child song Survivor without Terrence's name or credit, who stated how his career would have been different if he had been properly credited. I know right now I would be one of the biggest, most sought-after producers. But the other side of the story is that Matthew Knowles claimed that not only had 3 different people claim to either have written or produced the song Survivor, but that he hadn't met nor heard of T Rob until he informed the producer that his management company, Music World Entertainment, had nothing to do with Robinson's song Glorious. Matthew Knowles said Destiny's Child wrote the lyrics themselves and left production of the track to be handled by State of Mind music producer Anthony Dent. Survivor was not just a number 2 hit in 2001 that earned Beyoncé's group Destiny's Child a Grammy in 2002 for Best R&B Performance, but it was also the title of Destiny's Child 2001 album, which sold 6 million copies. It doesn't seem like anything really came out of this lawsuit, therefore either Destiny's Child either settled with T Rob out of court or the entire lawsuit was just thrown out. Desiree. The song ballad called Still in Love, Kissin' You by Beyoncé was included on the 2007 deluxe version of her second studio album, Birthday, of which it said that Beyoncé contributed to the writing and production of. This claim was kinda odd considering that it was a cover of a song called Kissin' You by British singer Desiree. There was also a music video filmed on Super 8 in Miami for Still in Love, Kissin' You that was shot and directed by Cliff Watts, who was the one behind the camera of Beyoncé's Sports Illustrated magazine cover. The music video was included on the Birthday Anthology video album, and all seemed to be well until the royalty network, the publishers for Desiree, filed a lawsuit against Sony BMG Sales Enterprise, Beyoncé, B-Day Publishing, and EMI, making the claim that Beyoncé's cover of Desiree's song infringed on copyright conditions. It was back in February 13, 2007 that Beyoncé's representative sought out permission to use interpolations of Kissing You, to which the royalty network offered Beyoncé the use of the song under very specific conditions. 2 of the conditions of the proposal were that the song's title remained the same, and that the song was not to be published in video form. Beyoncé broke both of those terms for use and made no further contact with the royalty network. This fractured promise led the royalty network publishing company to request that Sony Music Entertainment, which was the parent company of Columbia Records, put an immediate halt on distribution of the B-Day album that contained this retitled version of Desiree's song. But the album was still released on April 3, 2007, which the royalty network viewed as willful disregard and removed Beyoncé's permission to use the song. The lawsuit, filed on April 16, 2007 in the District Court for the Southern District of New York, was in pursuit of $150,000 in damages and a recall of the infringing material, which led to Sony Music Entertainment putting a stop to the distribution of both the deluxe edition of B-Day and the anthology video album on that day. But these editions had already sold over 214,000 units. There would later be reissues of these albums without Still in Love and its video. There was a replacement track called If to take its place on the B-Day Deluxe edition. The case was dismissed with prejudice on October 12, 2007, with all parties involved in agreement. Beyoncé's father and manager went on to explain that Beyoncé was unaware of the copyright issues before any legal action was ever taken. Rich Harrison. Crazy in Love became one of the biggest pop hits of the 2000s, and Beyoncé promoted the song as being a collaboration between herself and producer Rich Harrison. She explained the origin of Crazy in Love by saying, "The song came from me actually looking crazy one day in the studio, and I said, I'm looking crazy right now. And Rich Harrison, the producer, was like, that's the song." Which, strangely enough, this is not how the producer Rich Harrison remembers the creative process going down, leading to yet another artist who's accused Beyoncé of theft. According to Harrison, he first played a sample of the track for Beyoncé, who told him that she not only loved the idea, but she insisted that he write the song and that she would return in 2 hours. So if this is actually what happened, that means that Beyoncé didn't write the song, and she wasn't even there to contribute to it being written. Even while Rich Harrison struggled with a hangover, he was still able to write the full song and play all the instruments for the track before Beyoncé returned. Apparently, the only part that Beyoncé did write was the bridge. Marilyn Ortiz. The number of contributors on Beyoncé's Lemonade album amounts to over 40 individuals. In fact, one song on the album called Hold Up actually has 17 credits. But one person who felt disrespected is choreographer Marilyn Ortiz, who gained acclaim for performing in shows with the theatrical dance group Fuerza Bruta. Ortiz took to Instagram to air out her grievances with Beyoncé for allegedly stealing dance moves for Beyoncé's Formation World Tour associated with the album Lemonade from Marilyn Ortiz's group De La Guarda. "I'm sorry I don't bash artists, but I respect fellow creative artists and don't like to use social media to promote something that can be perceived as negativity. But at Beyoncé, you have the nerve to steal exact concepts in choreography from other real creative geniuses. You stole from at Breaking Surface. You stole the stomping from De La Guarda. It's okay to be inspired, but at least make the effort to make it your own. Also, at Crazy Horse Paris, the saddle scene. Let's keep it real, people. Hide your ideas," a bunch of other hashtags, and props to my friends that did the aerial. The likelihood of Beyoncé's choreography team snatching dance moves from Fuerza Bruta videos or performances increased as a story came out on Page 6 in December of 2009 that reported, "Beyoncé took the interactive vibes of Fuerza Bruta Look Up to heart Saturday night, trying to learn the choreography during the high-energy dance spectacles Murga section where dancers stomp on large platforms." At around the 5-minute mark in the video from 2009, it becomes apparent that the dance move that Marilyn Ortiz accused Beyoncé of copying for her tour choreography is practically identical. Elmino, the modeling agency. Beyoncé has not only been accused of stealing from other artists, but she even faced a lawsuit from the modeling agency that arranged endorsement deals on her behalf and didn't receive their fair share. Elmino Artists, the division of the Elmino modeling agency that represents music and models, filed suit in Manhattan Supreme Court against Beyoncé over her contract with cosmetics company L'Oreal that earned Beyoncé approximately $1 million, with Elmino never receiving their 10% commission fee. The suit also stated that Beyoncé refused to pay future commissions from the 2 years remaining on the L'Oreal deal at the time as well. But on June 8, 2005, a New York judge ordered singer Beyoncé to pay the modeling agency $1 million for getting her a job with L'Oreal when she was hired to be the face of the cosmetics company in 2001. The Swiss artist Pipilotti has been a pioneer in the video medium since the 80s, with her trademark style incorporating plenty of attention to detail through bright, saturated colors and close-up imagery of nature, various surfaces, and skin. Pipilotti's art installations are designed to activate all 5 senses, and her videos have special soundtracks to match her zoomed-in visuals to create somewhat of a hypnotic effect to soothe and stimulate audiences. Pipilotti's name popped up in pop culture when a music video for Hold Up, a song that became popular for including details about Beyoncé's husband Jay-Z allegedly cheating on her from Beyoncé's album Lemonade, appeared to have been plagiarized. The music video shows Beyoncé walking down the street of what appears to be New Orleans, wearing a dress and smashing cars with a baseball bat. The more her anger builds up, the more we see explosions going off behind her. But anyone who assumed this was an original idea may have gotten their hopes up too high when Beyoncé was accused of stealing the visuals from Pipilotti Rist's video project Ever Is Overall from 1997. Ever Is Overall also shows Rist walking down the street in a dress and smashing cars, but instead of a bat, she uses an oversized flower. Even the general angle of Rist and Beyoncé's videos are fairly identical. Greg Walker, a fashion CEO. After being accused of taking credit, intellectual property, ideas, and even money from producers, songwriters, singers, dancers, choreographers, video artists, and modeling agencies, Beyoncé managed to have legal problems with the fashion industry as well. Beyoncé and her mother, Tina Knowles, were sued for $1.5 million by Wear Me Apparel Corp., the company Beyoncé was collaborating with for her own clothing line. The lawsuit was filed in New York State Supreme Court by Greg Walker, the CEO of Icon Entertainment, claiming he wasn't fully paid for securing the $15 million deal between Beyoncé and Wear Me Apparel. Greg Walker stated that Beyoncé and her mother, who designed the Street collection, hired him in August 2003 to assist them with landing endorsement and licensing deals. Walker made that happen and secured a $15 million deal for Beyoncé and her mother to establish the clothing line with the clothing manufacturer Wear Me Apparel. At the time of his lawsuit, Greg Walker alleged that out of the $1 million that he was owed, he had only been paid $25,000 from Knowles' mother Tina, with Walker stating, "Beyoncé and Tina Knowles agreed on the terms of our business relationship, but have failed to properly compensate me for reasons unknown to me. I just want to receive my fair share and move on with my business." Unfortunately for Greg Walker, it appears that he had only made an oral agreement, which led to the Manhattan Supreme Court Justice to find that Walker never had a valid contract with Beyoncé and her mother Tina. Walker had accused Beyoncé of failing to pay him a penny after receiving $25,000 for his services, but he didn't let that court decision put an end to his dispute. Walker was reported as saying, "I'll never give up because I know I'm right. The judge was starstruck. I believe if I was white, I would have been paid." Jennifer Armour. When Beyoncé released her Grammy-winning album Dangerously in Love in 2003, the second single was called Baby Boy, featuring Jamaican dancehall artist Sean Paul, who was already crossing over to mainstream in the US at the time. But the platinum hit also had something else, the accusation that it had been taken from an up-and-coming singer and songwriter from Shakopee, Minnesota named Jennifer Armour. This accusation was pursued by Jennifer in 2005 when she filed a copyright infringement lawsuit claiming that Beyoncé not only took some of her lyrics, but also snatched up the musical hook from Armour's song, Got a Little Bit of Love for You. Being that Jennifer Armour wasn't established in the music industry yet, and this was before social media was a vehicle for independent artists to promote their music, how did Beyoncé find out about Jennifer's song, Got a Little Bit of Love for You? The timeline begins with Jennifer Armour composing the song Got a Little Bit of Love for You in early January 2003 as a means of advancing her career. Then, on February 12, 2003, Armour registered a copyright of an a cappella version of the song, but the copyright for the instrumental version of the song didn't happen until May 1, 2006. Meanwhile, between January and March 2003, Armour's manager, Mark McKinney, was sending out copies of Jennifer's music to various people in the music industry that he thought were connected to Beyoncé Knowles, including her label Columbia Records and Sean Paul's label Atlantic, but he never heard anything back and the tapes were never returned to him either. About a month after Jennifer Armour recorded her song, Beyoncé entered a recording studio and began working on her new album, which would be Dangerously in Love, with collaborators Scott Storch and Robert Waller. Beyoncé commercially released Baby Boy on June 24, 2003, and Jennifer Armour claimed to have heard Beyoncé perform Baby Boy at a concert, and was surprised by the similarities she heard to her own music. On July 11, 2005, Armour filed a suit for copyright infringement against Beyoncé, Robert Waller, Scott Storch, Sean Paul, their record labels, and all parties involved with the song. According to the district court, an expert witness determined the songs to be substantially similar, which is a requirement for an infringement finding, with the expert witness stating, "When the oral comparisons of the two songs are presented in the key of C minor and presented back-to-back in ABAB fashion, even the least musically inclined listener should immediately determine that the two songs are strikingly similar. I dare say that many listeners may even perceive them as being the same song. And again, transposing a song for this purpose does not alter any fundamental qualities or characteristics of the song, but merely assists the ability of those unfamiliar with the technicalities of music in making a comparison." The district court judge nonetheless ruled that she couldn't hear the similarities between the two songs and dismissed the case, denying the motion for the songs or case to be heard by a jury. On appeal, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit affirmed the district court's ruling, but it held that there was no infringement based on Beyoncé claiming that Jennifer Armour's demo tape was received shortly after the writing of Beyoncé's song had been substantially completed. However, the court did not address the issue of substantial similarity. Beyoncé did not show up for a hearing, and the lawsuit was ultimately thrown out because the lyrics to Baby Boy were deemed substantially dissimilar to Jennifer Armour's Got a Little Bit of Love for You. Anne-Therese de Kersmacher is a Belgian choreographer known for putting experimental ballets together. But what does she have to do with Beyoncé? According to Anna, Beyoncé plagiarized a few of her ballets, Achterland and Rosas danced Rosas. You can see the similarities yourself when you take a moment to watch Beyoncé's music video for Countdown, directed by Adria Petty, and then compare it to Thierry Demay's 1997 film Rosas Dans Rosas, named after Anne's company. Once Beyoncé's music video for Countdown was on the radar, the choreographer's response was that she had seen school kids in her local area perform her work, stating, "I'm not mad, but this is plagiarism. This is stealing." Adria Petty, the director for the Beyoncé song in question, said, "I brought Beyoncé a number of references and we picked some out together. Most were German modern dance references, believe it or not," she told MTV, potentially assuming that she was referencing the work of the late Pina Bausch. The Countdown video has a mixture of pop culture references from the 60s and 70s, such as Beyoncé portraying Audrey Hepburn in the movie Funny Face, Monica Vitti in Modesty Blaze, and Jennifer Beals in Flashdance, and Diana Ross when she was a member of the singing group The Supremes. Adria Petty believed that any form of art that has ever been released is up for grabs to be reincorporated into newer work. But this doesn't change the fact and the way that Anne feels about being used, with her stating, "Protocols and consequences to such actions, and I can't imagine that Beyoncé and her team are not aware of it." BC Jean. The song that singer BC Jean is most known for was inspired by her love of pizza and wishing that she was a boy because of her belief that men don't have to worry about their diets and staying slim as much as that pressure is placed on women. BC Jean explained herself to the Los Angeles Times by saying, "I was riding with Toby and I wanted a piece of pizza. I was trying to be good with my diet and I said, I wish I were a boy. He always recorded everything I said with a little tape recorder and he said, 'What did you just say?' And he put it in my face. I said, 'Stop, Toby, I just said I'm hungry. I want that pizza in Times Square.' And then he went, 'What else would you do if you were a boy?' I said, 'I'd be a better man than my ex-boyfriend.'" BC Jean and Toby went on to write a folk song about gender double standards together called If I Were a Boy. But this version differs quite a bit from the pop hit that emerged. When BC Jean initially struggled to gain a record deal, Toby took the song to Beyoncé, which hadn't worked out well for others, and Toby was no different. Then eventually BC Jean was shocked to find out that If I Were a Boy was included on Beyoncé's album I Am Sasha Fierce, and responded by saying, "I've been reading some of the comments, and to set the record straight from the horse's mouth, If I Were a Boy is my song. Yes, I wrote this song. It is my story, a painful one, and the song is very dear to me. You can hear the original version on my MySpace site." Eventually, BC Jean was able to make a deal with Beyoncé in which BC Jean put out her debut album, she would be able to secure a Beyoncé feature. But the sad truth is that neither the debut album or the Beyoncé feature ever came to fruition. Make sure to subscribe for more.